That was a crappy thing to say. I apologize. It's not Lordy, it's Jamie. Thank you very much. All right, well,
Hey, Jamie, we talked about your jokes, and we agreed you were going to go with your number 1 joke, not your number 2 joke.
Sorry, I'm a whiz at them. All right. Welcome, everybody. For those who are new or first time seeing it online, via Zoom or via, remember, you can watch these back. You can forward through those jokes on YouTube, on our YouTube channel.
Posted on Fridays.
Posted on Fridays by the tech director. I'd be surprised to see the answer.
So, make sure that you don't talk into the microphone.
Oh yeah, everybody, yes, please. If you need to talk to your neighbor, whisper. Because the mics will catch everything, and the world will hear what you've got to say, and that's can be fun, and probably not for most. So, for those who are new, my name is Jamie Ogden. I am the Chief Value Officer here at Keller Williams Really, and I'm here representing our leadership team, and this is the day we look forward to because we get to pour into y'all in person and online, and it's all one big collective. We love this. So thank you for being here. Our purpose here, we have a special purpose here at Keller Williams Really, serve agents, impact lives. It's that simple. We believe that we can affect the greater good. Welcome, Jacob. We can affect the greater good by helping the good in this room and online affect people on a greater level. The goal here is to return $1 million in profit in the year 2030. Why? Because that means we're all doing our job helping one another. And one of the people that is probably at the apex of helping other people is the play of the week. So, all right, so Krista is the last one that wants to hear all this stuff yet. Krista, for many reasons, everyone knows she's quick to help people. She's always seeking to do things for others. She brings in great, yummy food for me and us. That's play of the week every week for her. Yet she attends every class that she can, despite it, for the main reason, this is her 40th year in real estate.
40 years is a pretty remarkable number. If you think about 40 years doing anything, that's a pretty remarkable. Some of you, I won't look at the person right in front of me, aren't even 40. Don't even have 40 years under their belt. So I really think, and I mean this because I've been here now for 3 years, I think we as a market center have been a little remiss in recognizing length of service, time, and anniversary. So realistically, 40 years, what an incredible accomplishment in real estate. This is a tough business. So let's give her one really big, warm
Seriously though, that's one of the reasons we do play of the week. Not only to make sure that your sphere knows how amazing you are, but we don't know how amazing necessarily the people that we surround ourselves with and the people who are attracted to this culture that you've created. To have someone of Krista's caliber on all levels is something that we all take for granted. And there's a lot of you in that ballpark as well. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty damn grateful. Thank you. Bucket fills, Jason, don't kick the bucket.
I don't kick the bucket, I fill the bucket. The best, thank you, grateful for you. And we're going to start out today with my good friend Michelle Oglander telling us some bucket fills.
It says that we have such a wonderful, caring leadership team. Thanks for the Appreciation Day.
That's hard for me. That's hard for me because that's what we do every day. That's our job. And I appreciate somebody acknowledging that we're doing our job. And thank you all for all of that, because I also, as much as it's hard for me, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to thank all of us for doing what we really love doing. So it's a pretty cool thing.
It's not hard for me, I'll take it.
Sarah, what you got there?
Mine says, I'm grateful for Jennifer Wilson for bravely being the perfect seller on Colin's call.
Oh.
not have signed that better. You might have even thought that what I was saying was a filibuster as I saw her coming back in to fill up the space. Hey, Tom, what do you got for me?
Grateful for Jenny for helping create files, signings, and general docs on recent new listings. I appreciate you always being willing to pitch in.
We have Soldenberg up here in the front row. Tell us about what you got.
Olivia Manson's thoughtfulness and generosity. It has made a huge difference in my week.
Nice.
And bring us home, Karina.
For Colin, willing to share his knowledge and provide guidance with a difficult seller.
Thank you, Olivia. Bucket fills, again, that bucket, can you lift the bucket? You can, you've lifted the bucket. That is always up at the front desk, so you can take a time, write something as you pass by to thank somebody who's helped you or impacted you in some way, so we can.
It's called the grateful jar, so the great if
it would be great if we filled it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, Campers Club, all right. So, for those of you who don't know, again, we'd like to reintroduce, so Keller Williams, was really the industry frontrunner in providing an opportunity for agents where once you meet your cap of how much you pay in a year, you keep all the rest. There's a lot of other people giving that a shot, other brokerages, and that just proves that, hey, what a great model, right? I love the fact that the most because where I was at as a realtor, it was how much can I keep from you while helping you? And that was just really not a healthy relationship. I love this healthy relationship. Now, we are not giving away caps, especially red ones. Because this time of year, half the country would love you, half the country will hate you. So we're just gonna move right along there. And the next topic will be your position on abortion.
Yeah,
No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's congratulate Michelle and Steve. Danny and Kelly. Morning. Ray, Michelle, and Scott. And Ashley. Woo! You get to enjoy 100% of your wishes the rest of your years. Way to go.
That's pretty cool.
And
That's pretty cool. And I do want to point out, there's some new faces in there, maybe as you go through that and you're here all the time. Some really new faces, so it's always great to see new campers. And that's super exciting. So, as you may recall, the last meeting of the month, we like to recognize the great performances of the previous month. And with that in mind, we have our top individual agents for listings sold. Wow, that's a lot of words. Steve Rawl, Tasha, Eric, Leslie, Philippos, Rachel, Megan, Amber, and Kristen Rezak. Great crew there. And it changes up when we throw in all the closed volume. We got Brian Stordahl at the top with Steve, Tasha, Lisa Holmquist, Kristen Rezak, Lisa Brainer, Rachel, Ryan, Eric, and Melissa Jacobson. Another fantastic group. All right, so then we move on to teams. What is a team? A team is two agents. No more, no less, just two. All right, with that in mind, listings sold, property, real estate, taking the lead, CMS Home Group, the Burwell Group, Melissa Johnson Team, and Kelly Arvidsson Homes. Best one is number 5. And for closed volume, Corn Team Homes, CMS Property, Burwell Group, Melissa Johnson, and Kelly Arvidsson Homes. Great work, all of those folks. There had to be more, and there is, because from there are groups. And you may have figured out that an individual agent is 1, and if a team is 2, then a group must be more, and you'd be right, because a group is 3 or more agents. And those groups are as follows. HHG, number 1, North Star Commercial Real Estate coming in number 2, Cedar Haven, number 3, Michelle Oakland Group, number 4, Janie's Home Team in 5, Lucky Duck, Red Wing Homes, Jenna Riley, Steer Rude, and Team Counters in the top 10. And when we jump up to close closed volume, North Star Commercial Real Estate Advisors, #1 in closed volume, Camp Home Group, #2, Jamie's Home Team, #3, Redwood Homes for Sale, Cedar Haven, #4, 5, I can't count, Team Lucky Duck, Michelle Hoagland, Cedar Rude, Team Counters, and Jan O'Reilly Home Team, rounding out the top 10. Words from Jamie.
Hey, just want to adding to the group, let's give a round of applause to Mama Carly adding one more duck.
That's good. 18 years, they'll still be a group. Another person won't make another later group, so we're stuck there. Hey, and that's all fantastic stuff. I have one more before we go. Profit share for last month just came out a little bit ago, and we'd like to recognize if we're gonna hit $1 million in 2030, these are folks who right now are leading us in the endeavor. And we've got Steve Rawl, David Christensen, Scotty Ringley, Sarah Anderson, Kim Hummus, Kristen Rezak, Carly Duckworth, that does not count the addition. Tasha Wells, Laura Tuff, and Corey Tudewald. Great group of folks there. And some good stuff. Now Jamie's gonna come up and talk some more. You thought you had enough of him, and you were right, but you're still gonna get more. And he's gonna talk about this again.
Well, let's give Toddy her walk-up song here first.
When you're talking about adding people, we're gonna add another team, she's adding a team member on Saturday. So we already know the date, we know the time, it's super exciting.
All right, so
I don't know about that.
all right, so those of you who do or do not know, Toddy, Agent Services, this is her last day before they induce her on Saturday. So we're both excited and, we miss her. We miss her. She's quite an impact player. So she's induced then, but we're pretty impressed with her growth mindset because that's taking it to a whole new level. Nisha, she might need a launch coach. All right, sorry. Just a reminder, for people.
What the heck?
Game day, which is today, is moving to Thursday starting next week. Starting next week, we just said, hey, all of October, all of November, because on October 9th on Wednesdays, Bold starts. For those of you who don't know, Bold is sold. Taking backups, because some people sometimes, health things, we don't wish this upon anybody, however, sometimes opportunities open up and we want to make you get in there. We have a waiting list, so let me know on the waiting list. But we're going to move everything that happens on a Wednesday and move to a Thursday. And it'll be beautiful. Speaking of beautiful, so Value Squared, this is coming up tomorrow, and this is a course written by Gary Keller with the help of the top 200 agents in his agent mastermind. So just for a quick sample, seller core services and buyer core services. Every one of these numbers here, every one of these steps along the way has an even more detailed hierarchy that has been successful for the collective 200 agents. So not only do you do these things, but you do a deeper dive and then take part of that deeper dive and create what your value proposition is on a deeper level in that. And this is the workshop packet, so it's important. You can see how important it is. So if you have any opportunity to come tomorrow, please do. 9 o'clock.
How long does that last?
Till noon. Till noon. I'll try to get you out earlier.
What's the cost?
I'll treat you. I'll treat anybody in this room as long as they show up. So it's free. Thank you. We raised over 870 for KW Cares. Way to go. He's one of my favorite people in the whole entire world. Mo Anderson will be doing a call on fortitude and resilience, and on Tuesday, October 1st, 2 o'clock. It'll be right in here. Just come on in and hang out with us. Listen to Mo. It's incredible. Code of Ethics training. Some of you know that the deadline for your Code of Ethics is December 31st. Fun stuff. However, here's a lot of opportunities that are available for you to get that done. So, recommend getting this done. So, yes, Jason?
Everybody needs to do that.
Only the people who it's due for. How do they find that out?
Pulse Portal, my friend, Pulse Portal
Pulse
is a
Portal.
great way.
Jenny, I think, has a question.
Or if you go on SPAR and you log in, it's right under your name if you're compliant with code of ethics or not. So either, you can look both ways.
Sounds like a win.
And since we have one of the top brokers in the state of Minnesota and Wisconsin here, Greg Hartos. Greg, is this important, ethics?
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
And moving forward in the future, because some of our competitors might choose not to be Realtor members. So you should sell this to your consumers. Yes.
Oh, deep. Deep. Thank you. It's nice having you here. Not just for that. You know this guy. So, Kyle Cross, he's a MAPS coach. He has been here teaching other things before, and a lot of people are like, I love this guy. It was a great time. So the next two team meetings, the first team meetings of the month, he is gonna be here teaching anything that we want him to teach. He's got a list of things. However, I wanna hear from you guys, ALC, talk to your ALC or your ALC, let me know. The main topics is we want to schedule a lot of things out, yet we want to be versatile so that we're addressing things that you need now. So let us know. So his business, Kyle Cross, make you jump.
Daddy,
So-
that will make it.
What's that?
Cross Kyle will also make it.
Yeah, your business, jump. Solo Agent Alliance, October 8th, be there. It's at Lennar in Lakeville. It's an opportunity to learn a little bit about new construction. However, we're gonna meet and come up with solutions for one another, with one another, as well as take videos of one another in new construction for your social media. Business Planning Clinic, Rebecca D'Amproso. Is that right, Greg? I don't know. You know?
Sure.
You'll learn that in the Code of Ethics, how to pronounce her name. And that's Cedars Hall, that's a whole business planning opportunity, $99 coming up, and this for the whole region, put in place by your regional manager, regional director. Trunk or treat, this is coming up, please register. So now, again, back to the Duckworths, they put this on and they opened it up to everybody. Now, if you remember, we had Andy and Leslie Peters here talking about the 36 touch program. And they say, and we say, you need to have an event once a quarter. Invite, have the event, follow up. So we have went ahead and said, okay, we want to live in integrity with that. So we are going to have an event once a quarter like this, where you just plug and play. And then for our outstate folks, we'll do more of the $1,000 giveaways. That seems to be able to help everybody, no matter where you live. Because money kind of is good there too. There's gonna be a worksheet passing around here. We have Shannon Steer, 12-week year. Thank you. We need to get more of a grasp on how many people would be interested in this. You saw the profit share list earlier, and one of the things that we need to be more careful with is we fly people in, we pay all their costs, we want to make sure that we cover it. We want to make sure there's enough interest in it. I do know for a fact that this is December 6th, by the way. This will impact on some of our top agents' teams in their lives. And I bet they're going to attend again. So please, on those sheet that's going around, mark if you're interested in Shannon Steer, as well as mark if you're interested in Spain. They're not the same. She's not coming with, at least at this point. This, also mark if you're interested in this. This is everything right here. We're gonna send out an email today. We need to get, within basically a week, a temperature on how many people here intend to go. And then we're opening it up to the region. Now, we believe that when we open it up to the region, we'll hit these numbers here. So, if it's a group of 20, it's 4,700. Group of 30, which should be easy to get to, is 3,900. Group of 40, it's 3,100. And what does that mean? I mean, look at all this, there's a lot of stuff. The first 4 days, all this stuff I can't pronounce. So Museo de Picasso, I know what that is. El Palacio Real, El Estadio Real, is that good, Lance? Am I doing good?
Sound good?
Yeah, all right, good.
Hablas bien.
See. Here's the The beach, I know that one, it's really good.
Yeah, you're not gonna find much of a beach though in Madrid, it's in the center of the country, but that's okay.
Well, this is, maybe we'll ask
It'll be a
Rhonda.
long walk to the beach.
Maybe we'll ask Rhonda about that. What is that?
That's called a ronda,
Is that your aunt or something? What's that?
something like that.
Okay, well, to be,
It's an ancient city, it's amazing.
oh,
Village.
all right.
told me this became a cruise.
It's getting better and better. And as the numbers go up, it'll just keep getting better. So anyway, this will come out to you. Let us know if you're interested. Again, all accommodations, 2 meals a day because their lunch is really dinner. It's lunch and dinner, which is all my meals. So that'll be exciting. I'm excited. So please let us know. But we have a continuing education blitz, by the way, just so you can put it on your schedule, coming up in March. I know it's a long ways away, but just so you know, as you're planning out your CEs for the year, that's coming up in March so that you can be prepared. And, oh, let's welcome our boys, Brian and Drake.
Oh, yeah.
And when you're done, you want
Yeah, okay. I'll set this down.
I think we got to switch sides, that was cute. With the changing of the garters.
All right, well, we've got some good news for everyone. NAF is preemptively offering a higher conforming loan limit at 802. That's about a $36,000 increase from 2024. And so this is the new 2025 limit that we're setting. And again, that's preemptively, we like to get ahead of the game. The official conforming loan limit will be announced here soon. And that's just something that we like to, like I said, get ahead of so that we can help our customers benefit now. Also, FHA typically will follow conforming limits by about 65%. And so that would increase the FHA loan limit by about 20,000. And so right now it's at about 500,000. For our specific metro area, it's at about 515. And so we'll see a $20,000 increase hopefully. So, and that, like I said, will be announced here shortly. So once that comes out, you'll probably hear about that at the next team meeting from us. So, and then we have some news here.
So we all heard about the big 0.5% Fed rate cut.
Yay.
And I'll tell you, it's got very limited relationship to mortgage rates. Right. Okay, it's not, oh, mortgage rates just got cut by 0.5%. It's the Fed cutting it, trying to spur on the economy. Maybe they're worried about the economy starting to drop, and to keep that going, they dropped basically the what banks borrow from banks. But it does have an impact with mortgage rates because maybe in a slowing economy, rates can historically drop. When things are going gangbusters, there's inflation and rates go up. All right, so there is that kind of correlation. But I want to talk about how this might help or a way for you to use that to help you get some buyers. Get to that. So this is a quick over the last, what do we have here, from 2020 through current. Back in, we bottomed out in 21, rates were below 3%. Then we slowly, or not slowly, but we increased rates tremendously, and about right here, 2 years ago, the experts, rates are gonna start coming back down. And they didn't, they kept going up to basically the end of last year, we were almost 8%, all right? I have been telling people, well, the experts say over this last year, rates are gonna come down, and they went up all year. So then, at the end of last year, rates dropped fairly significantly, but again, this year, nothing much had happened. I said, okay, experts say rates are gonna start dropping. Well, finally they did here, coming into the summer. And actually, the day that the Fed announced the 0.5% Fed rate drop, rates went up that day, all right? Because the market's building this in. Maybe it was gonna be 1.25, they didn't know about that, but the markets they're ahead of the game. They know, and really, the long-term bond markets are what set mortgage rates. So regarding the 0.5% Fed rate cut, our customers don't necessarily know, it's not mortgage rates necessarily, but hey, rates are dropping. Well, with the election coming up here, who knows what's gonna happen with regards to the election. So maybe a way for you to get your customers off the fence by now is, they finally started to drop, buy a house, because once we hit that election, who knows what's gonna happen. Really, the experts again are saying the rates are gonna stay flat or drop into the spring. Again, we don't know, that's what, for 2 years the experts were wrong. So it's just a way for you to get your buyers off the fence, get them to buy now versus waiting until next year. All we got?
I got.
Oh, it is, yeah, it's your show.
I don't remember anything about my show. Today's sock contest, I actually know who the winner is already, because the contest was rigged. Not really by us, but by the person who won, because the socks they chose are super impressive. But we would like anybody who dressed for the sock contest to come on up, so Grace can take pictures of their feet. We're gonna post these foot pictures on the internet, and have all of you people who are participating vote on who has the best socks today. So if you are participating, come on up, and that way we can get these things taken care of. And Jamie's gonna talk a little bit about why we're having this sock contest as a reminder.
There's a winner right there.
I got ya.
Bears.
At the Bears.
Pose well.
I got split sock
Bears.
personality.
All right,
I love the Bears.
all right, so yes, the month is ending and we need to get more socks, to be frank. We're a little light on the socks. I know some people are still collecting them from clients. Again, we do this for many reasons. A, we owe it to our community because we are being blessed by our
Ooh, I
community.
like her chicken
And this is
feet.
way
I like
too
her chicken
entertaining.
feet. I like that.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong about the socks? I mean, this contest is rigged.
Well, there are many,
To the chicken. I like the chicken.
there are many people who are wearing skin-colored socks, which is cool.
Aren't they turkey legs? Are they turkey?
So.
I don't know, chicken, turkey, whatever you want.
All right. So by the end of the month, look forward, so again, reach out to your clients, put a bin outside your house, collect socks, that's pretty cool. We'll do this again probably November with coats, so that we can help our local communities be warm. And what's gonna happen with those pictures, Grace? I don't know, what?
We're gonna go on Facebook and we're gonna put a poll in so you guys can all vote by the end of day today to determine our winner.
And if you're watching
Yep.
online, you need to submit your picture of your socks by noon.
Yes, by noon to marketing@kwprmn.com.
That's the prize, right there. What it is, sock donation, if you hadn't seen it.
Ones to put in there.
All right.
Yes.
Well, today's food is being provided by Stone Arch. Lisa, thank you. Let's give her a round right there. And let's bring up the guest, and we will have Lisa introduce her right after her walk-up song, Jody Bach.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for letting us be here today and talk about a very important subject. It's my honor to introduce you to Jody Bach. She comes to us with a ton of experience, 24 years in title. Before that, she was in mortgage, and before that, she was a paralegal dealing with real estate. So she's got a plethora of knowledge and information, and she's going to be talking to you today about wire fraud, something that is very serious but totally preventable. So here's It's Jody. It is. You make me sound old when you say that. So I am going to talk fast. I talk fast anyway, but I could literally talk to you guys for 4 hours on this topic, and it would probably be worthy of 4 hours. Unfortunately, we're gonna try to knock out the gist of it in 30 minutes. As a side note though, I teach at SPAR, I teach Title 101 and some examining courses through SPAR, and we are adding wire fraud and seller impersonation to that, curriculum, if you will. I highly recommend that you take it, because this, as we're gonna talk about, this is hitting you, the agents, the hardest. You just don't realize it. Some of you don't realize it. But we're gonna talk about a particular case that drives it home, and there are thousands and thousands of cases. Some of you may remember, I remember it clearly, it was probably about 4 or 5 years ago, Care 11 Extra did a piece on an elderly couple that lost, I think it was around $200,000 or $300,000 locally, St. Paul or something. They were moving to this area to be closer to family, they were paying cash, they lost their money in a fraud situation. And Care 11 really did a great job of talking about it, but since then you don't hear as much about it. My theory is that it's happening so often that it's almost like old news. I will tell you, ironically, since agreeing to do this, which originally our in-house attorney was gonna do it, but she had a scheduling conflict, so I'm pitch hitting. But we just had 2 in Roseville, one Friday, one today. So I'm gonna talk fast because there's just so many different things I wanna get to you guys about. So you'll see here, it says, how do you lose 259 million in less than, or I'm sorry, 259,000 in less than 3 hours. I'm gonna tell you how, and it's not fun. So the Pendergast case or lawsuit is what we're gonna try to pick apart. And I'll be honest, what's really fun, and if anybody's interested, let Lisa know, we can do it. You actually will enjoy it. We've done roundtable discussions where we've had 10 or less people, and we literally dissect the lawsuit. So if you're kind of a legal geek like me, it's fun, but also it's scary. So I would listen to a sermon one time, and the pastor said, I'm not trying to step on your toes, I'm trying to break your kneecaps. That's kind of what I'm trying to do with you today. This does affect you. So this is a story about an 86-year-old woman losing $260,000 basically in less than 3 hours, and we're gonna talk about how. But the lawsuit names Realty Pros as the primary defendant. Realty Pros was a RE/MAX brokerage out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You may think, wow, there's a lot of players in this case, and I actually had to bring a cheat sheet and pick apart the case because there's a lot of players in it. But number 1, Shirley Pendergast was the 86-year-old woman. Thomas was her ailing husband who had dementia. I mean, if you practically could choke up reading this case, it's so sad. RE/MAX, which was Realty Pros, was the brokerage. The realtor personally was named. Land Title Services was the title company. A gal by the name of Wendy was the closer at the real estate office or the title office. JP Morgan Chase was the bank. By the way, I'm not slandering anybody. This is an actual public case. Northwestern Bank was the bank that wired Mrs. Pendergast's funds. And then Jane Doe, and Jane Doe is the criminal. So we're gonna pick this apart. So what happened in essence, again, we could talk about this forever, but I'm gonna break it down really fast. 86-year-old woman who, by the way, was very technologically advanced. She had a computer, she understood email, she was very on top of things. She received an email from Wendy. Wendy was the seller's closer. Okay, not the buyer's closer, but it looked completely legitimate. She received an email from Wendy with a very sophisticated, I mean, I almost want to kind of copy this email as a customer service email because it was super well done. Which, by the way, these criminals are highly intelligent people. I'm kind of jealous of some of them when it comes to their IQ. She went on to not only talk about how funds were required, but that given the lag in wiring process, we ask that you do it now. This was about 9 days prior to closing. If you send overage, we will send you the exact amount of the overage in a check same day of closing, so no worries. I mean, it goes on and on and on, explaining how she should have no fear. Send us $260,000. Wiring instructions are attached. Then the next day, 2 days later,
follow-up email comes to Mrs. Pendergast saying, have you done this yet, basically? And again, just trying to get ahead of it, we don't want you to have a delayed closing. Now, what's the one thing your buyers and sellers are, or you as agents are worried about when a closing's approaching? You don't want anything to go wrong. You know, everybody wants to get paid, the buyers want their house, the sellers want to move on. So, of course, the buyer's like, ooh, I better get this done. So she forwards the email to her agent, the RE/MAX agent, and says, hey, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and send my money, just confirming with you, I'm on top of this. I signed that, there was an amendment to the purchase agreement that needed to be signed. So this 86-year-old who's dealing with a husband that's ailing, and that's why they're moving into a condo, is to simplify her life, literally in his last days. She says to her agent that, you know, this is what I'm doing, right? And she says, oh yeah, no problem. And then the agent almost immediately starts sending her text messages of her new puppy. And she's talking about her new puppy, so they must know each other on a personal level. So she completely changes the subject and says, yep, sounds like you're on top of it, good job. Look at my new puppy. That's relevant because it shows you just how quickly this agent dismissed what her buyer had going on. Then another email comes and again says, have you done this yet? Now, let me just tell you, if Lisa at Stone Arch sends you 3 emails in a row, 10 days prior to closing saying, have you done it? That red flag. The closing's not for 10 days. Why do you need my money? That's a red flag. So tell Lisa to get lost and she'll get her money when she gets it. But you don't need it 10 days in advance. And by the way, the lender should be communicating what dollar figure is needed and things like that. We're going to talk about the lender's dismissal of this case as well. Long story short, the agent's email, the listing agent's email was hacked. And it's almost always the agent's email that's hacked. Then what the fraudster does is they follow that agent's email, not just for a day or an hour, several days. They will sit and monitor this agent's email, mine, yours, Lisa's, whoever they're hacking. They don't just jump in right away. They follow it until they learn exactly what this person has going on so that when they send their ta-da email, it makes sense. So by the time they emailed Shirley, they already knew Shirley has a closing coming up, Wendy is the closer. I forget the name of the actual RE/MAX agent, it's irrelevant, but RE/MAX agent, they know who all the players are. They know that she's paying cash. There's been communication in the email about that. They can see these amendments flying around. They know exactly what's going on. So when they finally send that email, that's kind of the, the dagger, it all makes sense. The average person would fall for it. The problem and the whole basis of the lawsuit is, who's the experts? Who did Shirley depend on to protect her? You. And so often, and again, I don't truly mean to hit you in the kneecaps, but I kind of do for your sake. You don't get to dismiss yourself from this part of the transaction because your clients look at you to guide them. So when you hear, especially an 86-year-old, but it doesn't matter if they're 26 or 86, you have to say, okay, hold on, you already sent your money? That's unusual. Would you not all agree that somebody sending their money, I think it was 10 days in advance roughly, wouldn't that be like, oh, you did? Well, let me just call, and there was an email later, or a text, I forget which, from her agent that says, I'll follow up with Wendy at the title company tomorrow, just make sure we're good to go. No, not tomorrow. That's a panic button. And we hit our panic buttons all the time at Stone Arch, all the time, practically daily. So we have affiliated companies, and just on Friday, I got a call from, her name's Samantha, one of our closers. And she said, I got a call from my buyer who was given wiring instructions from the seller's closer. And initially, she wanted me to call and deal with the seller side title company. Why are you talking to our buyer? You must be confused. I said that, I guarantee that seller side closer did not send wiring instructions. I said, that's a red flag, Samantha, something's not right. So sure enough, 3 hours later, we figure out that seller side title company's email was hacked. And they always change 1 digit, by the way, it's almost always. So what happened in this case is they changed an R to an N. So who's gonna notice that? If it's Jody B at stonearchtitle.com and we take the R and arch out, you're not gonna study that and be like, oh, this is the right Jody. The average person won't do that. I'm asking you guys to now do that. Just stop, pause, time out. Long story short, again, an elderly gentleman had an appointment the next morning, which would have been Monday morning, yesterday morning. He was gonna wire $240,000. He had an appointment with his bank to go do that. And our closer thankfully said, don't do that. That's not right. Those are not our instructions. It's our address with a different bank name or a different title company name. So they make it all look legit. They're super clever. They're not dummies. So long story short, the Pendergast sue, they legitimately lost the money. It's long gone. They did not get the condo either. They had no backup resources. So it's still in litigation. It has not been settled. I've been checking every day because I keep hoping that there'll be a solution. Again, both banks were named, but here's the kicker. Don't count on the banking institutions either to do their due diligence, because I learned something when I studied this case and with the help of our in-house attorney who went and kind of picked it apart with us as a staff. We did kind of a round table as a staff. I learned something I never knew, but banks cannot talk to anybody to verify anything unless they're on that account. So what we learned in this case is Northwestern Bank opened up an account for the fraudster without verifying that their entity, Realty Pros, was legitimate. She opened it up under Realty Pros, used everything she provided them was fictitious. Excuse me, they did no verification of it. So by the time she gave those wiring instructions, or maybe it was a title company name, I forget. By the time this fraudster gave the wiring instructions, she had a legitimate account under that name. And then what they do is the money hits the account and they wire it and get it out and overseas. Average time is 3 hours, that money is gone. We have an in-house FBI liaison that works for us. They're probably the 3rd or 4th busiest person in our entire umbrella company-wide staff. The second we get wind of something funky, the call goes to them and they're on their toes. They work 12-hour days, just heading off fraud. So this banking institution wired her money without verifying anything. And then the incoming bank accepted it, even though account numbers didn't match up. They just matched up the names and still dumped it in there. So there were so many chances to stop this and it didn't happen. So again, they're out this $300,000. Now, I told you in the beginning, the lawsuit, the primary defendant was the agent. It's not looking good for this brokerage, which I also learned there's no insurance typically with brokerages to cover these types of agent errors. It's the same in the closing world. If I or Lisa do something completely outside our procedural process and something very flagrant to cause the loss of monetary, we could actually personally get named in lawsuits, as well as our company. That's kind of how those types of licenses work. This particular agent was named as well as her brokerage, and they are suing for 3 times what they lost based on what the law allows, and this is a Wisconsin case. I think Minnesota's similar. The last update I got, and the people weighing in on it, is she'll probably never see the money in her lifetime, just because it's been delayed in hearings and more people are getting named. But the way the initial petition is read is the expert, being the agent, did not do their due diligence, kind of said, not my area of the transaction. That's the lender's job. The lender says, I can't verify or do anything unless it goes through the Secret Service. So, Stone Arch Title, we're going to talk about at the end some of the procedures we have in place which allows us to go through the Secret Service to verify all information. Banks basically say we can't do that. Unless you're on the account, we can't verify anything. So unless you're the fraudster, we can't talk to you. It makes no sense. So both banks are named in the lawsuit. The title company is named in the lawsuit because, again, it appears as though there was IT warnings that they were also being hacked. And then again, the RE/MAX agent seems to be the one that's, a few people have already been dismissed from the case, but not the agent. Okay, I tell you this, and again, we could talk about this case and really break it down. It gets more sad and more interesting if we had more time. But there are cases like this every single day. So just this morning, we had another one where an email was hacked. Wiring instructions were sent saying, hey, send my proceeds here. It was a seller. It looked like it was coming from the seller. Subject line was legitimate. We do have a sale coming up for that property address. Information was all accurate. The red flags to our closer were how they talked. And I know that seems weird, or how they typed, I should say. But pay attention to that, because in the Midwest here, we don't usually say things a certain way. So they use terms of endearment differently. They usually start emails a little differently. Some of the words were, I don't know the language, it almost looked like maybe French, where you could tell that their main dialect was not English. Although it flowed, it's like, we don't talk like that. We don't say those things. We don't sign off like that. Then our closer went back and looked at prior emails, and that agent didn't talk like that in prior emails, so what's up? So then it made her hover over her email and just look. If you hover over an incoming email, before you click on it or open any attachments, just put your cursor over an incoming email. And it'll bring up the bigger, like the, what's the word I'm looking for? I keep wanting to say UPC, it's not UPC.
URL.
Yes, URL. And then study that, because what you're seeing, Jody B at something, isn't necessarily going to be what it is if you hover over it. It might look totally different. And by the way, the biggest spoofs are brand names, Coca-Cola or Target or Menards or something. If you hover and all of a sudden it looks like it's going to Timbuktu and nothing to do with Menards or Target or Coca-Cola, then you know this is not good. Get out of it. I'd rather have them call you and say, why the hell didn't you answer my email, than have you answer it or open something that you shouldn't have. Okay, and we're gonna talk about some things to watch for. So I know I'm rambling about this particular case, but again, I could tell you in great detail, probably 10 cases local in Minnesota, in the metro, that have happened within the last 6 months. And every single time, it's the agent's phone that's been hacked, or their email, and it's usually traced back to working off your phone, which we all do. Go ahead.
CNS group had one happen earlier this year. It was, we caught it beforehand.
Oh, good.
But it would have been about a $95,000 loss, yeah. And it was actually the lender that got hacked, their email that got hacked. And then they created a account under the title, so just like you were saying.
Yeah, they always go for the title email hacking, yeah.
Yep, they created an account at the bank for that, that title company, that person's name.
Yeah.
And then, the buyers were like, oh, we're just behind. Our agent had reached out to set up, I think, the final walkthrough, and they're like, oh yeah, we still have to get the wiring instructions, and that's like, the agent was like, shouldn't need it that early.
Yeah.
So then he reached out directly to the closer, and they're like, no, we haven't sent anything, and then that
Yeah.
just blew
That's very
everything.
similar to what happened on Friday, where a borrower said to one of our closers, I have your wiring instructions, when should I send that? And she's like, we have a process, which we're gonna talk about how Lisa does it, how Stone Arch does it. She's like, you shouldn't have my wiring instructions, send me those, send me what you have. And right away, she's like, that's not us. So then you dive in and you figure out what went wrong. Okay, so just, if this doesn't scare you like it does me, 193, that's a B, by the way, that'd be billion. That's how much? That's Minnesota alone. That's a lot. That's what's going on. And again, 3 hours. Average time for it to be long gone, not, what's the word I'm looking for? Caught, not returned, is 3 hours. Once it goes overseas, it's gone. So we had one within our underwriting, not with our company, thank God. They did recoup like 19,000 of 190,000. They got 19 of it back. Did you have a question?
I did. Is it mostly happening on buyers sending money into a title company, not seller proceeds going out?
Correct. However, the new epidemic is payoffs, fraudulent payoffs. People are hacked title companies. People are hacking payoff instructions. Payoffs are being wired in, or I'm sorry, emailed in. People are swooping those, changing the wiring instructions for the payoff, and that's happening now too. So not necessarily seller proceeds, but again, I'm gonna talk about a system that we have in place that truthfully more and more and more title companies are gonna have in place, and I would think that if they don't have it in place, run for the hills.
Are banks more aware of somebody with a title company name opening up accounts?
Yes, which is why this lawsuit and the lenders being named, it's like, what how can you not, if we're so aware as a real estate industry, among countless other industries that are being hit by this type
If
of
an
fraud.
individual goes and opens up a title company account at a bank, that
Yeah.
would be a red flag
For
for
sure,
a
a red flag.
banker.
Whether it's an individual account, a business account, a title company account, there was no checks and balances in the Pendergast case. Now, I know a couple of the escrow banks that we work with, I swear to you, you can't do anything without 19 forms of verification and 4 phone calls and 2 fobs. It just seems like it's crazy, but we embrace it because we know that it's to protect us and our clients and your clients.
I just point out that there are banks all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to, if you think you're relying on the bank to catch this stuff, there are banks all over the world, they don't need to have anybody, I mean, they might even have somebody that they're helping them at the bank.
Yep.
So, yeah.
The banks can work with Secret Service, they cannot work with the individuals on something like this. I did not know that until we picked apart this Pendergast case. So that's why when we use our system, which I better take time to get dove into that. So I'm gonna talk about your bad habits, your meaning your industries. I would say anybody's, but I'm picking on you guys as agents, just because I want this stuff to hit home to help you and to help your clients. But the biggest thing that's not on this list is you can't say not my area of the transaction. You can't say not my problem. I'm gonna count on my buyer's lender to direct them the right way or my closer. Please don't do that. Be involved. Okay, if nothing else, just disclose to your buyer up front. You will get certain things from the title company. Don't deviate from that. Again, we're going to talk about what Lisa and Tammy do at Stone Arch in particular. But if nothing else, just be the voice of reason. Don't be opening stuff and sending money without triple checking it. Okay, so at least give that advice to your clients. Simple and reuse passwords. We all hate our passwords. Don't reuse passwords, don't use simple passwords, don't use your date of birth or your kid's first name, because it takes the fraudster about 38 seconds to figure out who your oldest kid is and what their birth date is. Google it and you got it. Opening random links, that's number 1. You get some really well-written email that says, hey, click attached, you haven't done this yet, I need you to sign it, and boom, you open it, and now you've got, whether it's malware or that you allowed the hacker in and you don't even know it, but now they're into your system, they're gonna follow your emails, and you have no idea. Most of the time it's behind the scenes. Again, I'm gonna talk fast so I can be done on time. Again, failing to hover over and review the email address. Just hover, make sure the URL is accurate. Are you going where you think you're going? Are you responding to who you think you're responding to? When in doubt, I'm jumping ahead. When in doubt, call. I know we all hate phones, I do. I even tell my family, I'm like, can you just text me? I love you, but don't call me. Call. If you're not sure and your buyer's saying, Lisa sent me my wiring instructions, I'm off to the bank to send 80,000. If anything seems off, just tell the buyer, call Lisa and make sure. Or you call. Call and make sure that's right. Do a second form of communication to verify that it's accurate. Does anybody in this room not have 2-factor on their phone? And if you're not sure, check it and do it like before you leave the building today. You have to have 2-factor on your phone. So many of you probably work off your phones. If you don't have 2-factor, which means if somebody's gonna hop on their computer in Egypt and start hacking Joe Blow, you're gonna get a notice saying, hey, you logged in, is that you? Somebody's logging into your Google and you say yes or no, we've all gotten that. If you're not getting that, when you log into your computer or your kid in my case logs in and you get a Google, is this you or not? Then you don't have 2-factor. So get that, that's like, you have to have 2-factor. By the way, that'll be the first thing the prosecutor, the whoever, the plaintiff's attorney is gonna, that's one of the first discovery things they're gonna ask you about, is what measures did you have to protect your client's information at the very least, let alone their money? Do you have 2-factor authentication? Get it. If you don't know how to do it, Google your type of phone, it's like 4 steps, 30 seconds to have it done. Never allow your different sites to save your passwords. It'll always say, save this password for this site, always say no. Okay? What you can do, always verify the email request via another form of communication. We talked about that. Again, call, hey, did you really send this? Set up 2-factor, this is the biggest one. If it smells funny, if anything about it doesn't seem right, call, double check, tell your buyer, don't send that, hold on, let me just do some checking, or hey buyer, make some calls. This is the most important thing. This is what Stone Arch does to protect, and it's huge. We use an outside company, a third party called Certified, CERTIVID, and I hate that there's no E in there. Yeah, it's because it's spelled wrong all the time. Maybe that's to make sure that it doesn't get hacked, I don't know. Up front, the second we get an order from you, the buy side order, there's what we call the welcome letter goes out to your buyers. It's very detailed and it stresses in bold, you will get wiring instructions from Stone Arch Title and only Stone Arch Title. Do not accept wiring instructions, do not send your money to anybody, don't accept instructions from anybody, just from us. And they're gonna get that within probably 72 hours of the order coming in. Do not send wires or money to anybody but us. I'm your closer, I'm gonna deal with you. Don't be deterred and send anywhere else. That letter explains in quite good detail the whole process. So here's what's gonna happen, you're gonna get title work from us, we're gonna set up your closing, this is how the closing goes, but again, the biggest thing to that is how the wire is gonna work. Again, that company is called Certified, so what you guys could do to help us out is if you're working with the buyer, forewarn your buyer, hey, my title company uses a third party to verify information. Don't be annoyed by it, don't be frustrated by it, because it's there to protect your money. But you're going to get an email verifying who you are, which is gonna have some security questions. So some people think, well, now is this fraud, this random call or this email that I'm getting? Forewarn them that this company could be contacting them. Again, our welcome letter explains that as well. But if they fail the security questions, if they fail once, they usually call and say, well, I failed it because I spelled my mother's maiden name wrong. We'll send it a second time. Typically, we'll send it twice. If they fail again, we're not doing a wire. They're gonna have to bring a cashier's check. Same with seller proceeds. We do certified for seller proceeds and payoffs. If for any reason our certified system fails with verifying that individual, no exceptions, we don't send the money. So, one thing I wanna talk about, I'm gonna jump ahead to this zero tolerance. And this sounds really harsh, and I almost hate sharing it, but I want you to know how serious Stone Arch takes this stuff, because if we were involved in Pendergast, I think I would have had a nervous breakdown, not to mention I probably would still be crying myself to sleep for this poor woman. We have a zero tolerance. We have very clear instructions about how to handle our wires internally. We could have the best of the best closers, which Lisa is. If Lisa just blows off those instructions or makes an exception for Colin or somebody, just because it'll be quicker, we're in a hurry, I know this person, she most likely would be fired. That's, if I did, I'm Lisa's boss. If I did it, I would be fired. We have a zero tolerance. We cannot play with people's money. This is their entire, this Pendergast, I mean, she was left broke and no home. I mean, it's terrible. There's zero tolerance. It's a best practice. The real estate world has the 7 best practices in order to be licensed and active in the state of Minnesota. Actually, it's the United States. One of the best practices is how we hire or handle wires. And we have very clear, I would say now we got it down to a science, so it's not like rocket science, but we use certified, we use procedures, we trust our gut, we look at things very closely, we slow down when it comes to the money, and we pay attention, which is what I'm asking you guys to do. We do have an on-site FBI liaison that we can ask questions, or if we have any suspicions, it goes right to her. This is a big one. We have constant, as do you guys, which by the way, your meetings are awesome. We have constant technology and IT training, constant, to the point where it's like, I have another IT training. We have another Zoom, but it's because this is an epidemic. It's an absolute epidemic, and I hate to say it, but they're targeting you all because you're all busy, and some of you work other jobs and you're checking your phone and you're sending emails off your phone and you maybe failed to put 2-factor on, so they target you who are not sitting there with firewalls in a building with an IT team down the hall. They're targeting you as independent contractors who are maybe a little more fly by the seat of your pants, busier, catching up on emails as you can. Does that make sense? Okay.
Is that why some of the title companies have gone back to wanting cashier's checks for everything?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, we're totally fine. So we're kind of a money in, money out title company. If we have to wire out payoffs and seller proceeds, then you have to wire in. That's how the banking system works. That's the appropriate way to handle money. Title companies work off escrow accounts. So escrow accounts by the term is money in, money out. There's no operating funds intermingled. It's whatever comes in has to go out based on that file. So if we have to wire out, any bank we work with, and we work with several, They want collected good funds. It has to be solid collectible funds. So in order to do that, we'll say to the buyer, hey, we have to wire out X amount for payoff and proceeds, so you have to wire in. But now if it's a deal where seller is coming to closing, they're okay with the check, there's maybe no payoffs, sure, bring us a cashier's check all day long. Totally fine. Go ahead.
My father tried to sell his vehicle and the people that bought his car brought a fraudulent cashier's check. And just because the woman got cold feet the next day, like my dad would have been bilked out of his car entirely.
Yeah, there's a
so
lender,
that's a
that was
problem
just a news, I think it's in that title report I sent, or maybe it was in a different report. Marine Federal Credit Union, they sent out a mass email countrywide that they had a series of cashier's checks, about 4,800, that are fraudulent. So they're warning everybody, if you get a cashier's check based on them, you're supposed to call and verify the serial number and the amount, or the serial number or the check number of that cashier's check, because they have almost 5,000 floating around that are fraudulent. That happens. That happens. Go ahead.
If you are to get a red flag, you realize that the email address is weird or something like that, is there anything that you can do at that point, like with the FBI liaison or something, to try to track down who's doing that and catch somebody?
Yep.
Or is it just too bad?
Rarely do you catch them because they're so sophisticated. The one that we had just this morning, so this certified company that we're working with, it's an actual company. So what we did is we forward them the whole email string and they'll shut it down. They can shut down that email. They can shut down the fraudulent email. So nothing else continues, and then I'm sure that the fraudster knows, whoops, that one's caught, let's move on to the next, because I guarantee we're not the only ones they're trying to hack in that moment. So there's definitely things we could do. The second you're made aware as a title company, or maybe you as an agent, something seems off, oh my gosh, I think they wired to the wrong place. Whatever you're doing, pull off the side of the road, stop what you're doing, get out of the shower, whatever it is, and start making phone calls, because there has been cases, again, you've got that 3-hour window roughly, where if it can be caught while it's still in the domestic financial institution, it could maybe get shut down before they get it overseas. So, I do think they at times catch it. We thankfully have such good procedures. I'm very proud of our IT team. I'm very proud of our upper management that puts so much, frankly, money and training and time into this and research, and then the training they give us as staff. Again, it's very nerve-wracking because every deal you feel like, well, is this true? Is that true? We've had emails from our owner of our affiliated company come through that look completely legitimate. The only red flag is he's 80-something, and again, you can kind of tell by the way the emails are reading, where it's like, I don't think this is Jeff. Like, this doesn't make sense. So then, you can text or call and be like, did Jeff really just send out a mass email asking? No. Jeff is in Key West. Oblivious to the world, So, go ahead, Colin.
Jody, I just want to mention it because I find this stuff it's scary, but it's fascinating. One thing that you guys have talked to me about is the software program that you have that actually embeds a pixel in your email signature, and then the security software tracks where that pixel goes.
Yes.
So if it goes somewhere that it shouldn't, you get an automatic red flag.
Not necessarily where it shouldn't, but yes, we call it RMail. So if I send an email to Jamie, and I sometimes will get a notice, I probably get 3 or 4 a day, I don't know how many you get, I've had to average 3 or 4 a day, where it kicks it back. And one of the biggest reasons it'll kick it back and not send it is because whoever received that email opened it up in one of the 5 most common hackster areas, and I'm forgetting what they are. One is Ukraine. They're not countries you would think. I forget what they are. Somewhere in Europe, I know the Ukraine's one, but where the most populated amount of fraudsters are. I'm probably not saying that politically correct, but there's 5 to 7 areas that are just known for being brilliant minds with bad behavior. So anytime one of our emails is opened, basically out of the country, we get it kicked back, and IT, we have a procedure we have to call, we have to forward to IT and say, okay, here's one. But sometimes they're legitimate, and then we just have to give an explanation. So I maybe have to tell IT, hey, this is a good customer of mine, I triple checked it, it's right. I did have one, she was in the Dominican Republic, which is one of them, that's one of them. She's there on vacation, she confirmed it's legit, she got it, but we have to explain it. And if you can't explain it, that email's not going out. Try picking up the phone, because the IT is not letting us send it. So yeah, we have the R mail, thank you. Did you have something? I think, am I on time? I'm only 5 minutes over, I did good.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Would it be okay if I shared these slides with everybody in an email? I saw a lot of people taking pictures,
Yeah.
I just want to ensure that.
And if anybody is a geek like me and wants to do the roundtable where we can pick apart the whole case and you can see some of the arguments against the agent, some of the defenses that the agent has, which are legit, versus the arguments against the lenders. Basically, it's everybody's attorneys blaming, trying to put more responsibility. So I don't know that you want to be the one having to defend your position. If that agent could have said, I called the title company right away, I responded right away, I told her not to send it, I talked to her up front, I had two-factor, you're going to be dismissed from the case. You did everything you could have done as an expert, which continually gets talked about in this case. These people hired you to be the expert to handle their transaction. You can't say, that's not my area, I leave that to the lender or the title company. They're paying you to represent them, so do so. Go ahead, Colin.
Jamie, maybe this is something that we can, because I see a ton of benefit for the agents and for the brokerage, maybe something we can, future-wise, look at maybe some more training.
Yeah. It is probably a 2 to 4 hour class. If we add in seller impersonation, easily a half a day. They kind of go hand in hand because it's a lot of the similar things. And also watch for it on your SPAR continuing ed. I think it's going to be added soon. Have I had any of you in 101, Title 101? Some of you look so familiar that maybe I thought I taught you there, but. Did you have a question?
Yeah, just a couple of things. If you all remember in your buyer rep packet and your listing side does give wire instruction warnings, and we should spend a minute on that with our clients. And then the other thing, make sure your phone's password protected, right?
Yep.
And then in your email, at the bottom of your email, include the notice in there that you would never provide wiring instructions as an agent. And then emphasize those. I mean, we want to keep you all out of trouble. I mean, the worst thing is if a client loses money and they point a finger here, it's never good, right?
Yeah. And not only are you as an agent going to get named, I would say 100% of the time your brokerage will get named along with you. So, bummer to be made an example of, but it can be devastating to a lot of people. In this case, Mr. Pendergast died 6 months later. Mrs. Pendergast, as far as I know to this day, is still living with her son. I mean, it's just, your heart just breaks on it. Forget the money, it's just heartbreaking, but it happens all the time. And again, the news media is just it's kind of like old news because it's now becoming so common. It's terribly common. So is seller impersonation, so we should get that on the calendar too. Go ahead, Lisa. Did you have a question earlier?
Oh, I was just gonna say another thing that our IT department does is they regularly will send out, not really regularly, they'll send out some kind of test emails to see if we bite, if we open them. Phishing emails, just to see if we'll bite, we'll open them, just to keep us on our toes, make sure that we're aware of what we need to be looking for and those signs, so.
So can I tell you a funny, embarrassing story about that? So we got one of those, and I knew right away, this is bait. So I oversee Minnesota, so I have like 13 offices. So me, wanting my team to look good, I tell all my team, don't open this one. I swear 5 minutes later, Jonathan, who's head of IT, calls me on my cell phone. Bach, you're a cheater. I'm like, what? And he's like, I can see all your emails. You just forewarned all your staff. He's like, I want to make sure, like, you're not always going to be there to, like, block them from making mistakes. Let me see who's paying attention. So I was like, oh, crap. So I don't.
I did the same thing the other day. I emailed her and said, hey, warn everybody, I think this is phishing. And she's like, don't tell anybody. Because
I got caught telling everybody.
Don't open it.
Yeah, they do test us a lot, and they're good tests where it's like, oh. My daughter works for our Rochester office, and one of the first ones we got, she sent me a text that said, I know you're gonna do it, I know you're gonna open it, don't open it. I said, no, I wasn't gonna open it, and she's like, you liar. Because I work off my phone almost all the time, I'm fly by the seat of my pants, I'm very busy like all of you, I'm driving a lot, and I might text a lot, and she's like, I just know you. She's like, I know you're gonna respond yes right away, and I might have. So now I'm better. So we're all guilty. So thank you for your time. Sorry for talking so fast. Some incriminating photos.
I was gonna open a fishing,
See if you had it
awesome.
secured.
Stoners, thank you for putting that together. I know you're going to get the stuff ready for the, speaking of fishing, because we're all kind of hungry. It went a little over. We gauged your interest and it was clear that you guys were locked in, and so definitely wanted to keep that going. Sorry we had to rush that a little bit. It's another great reason, I mean, you guys are super busy, and another great reason I'm grateful that the ALC voted to really make things simpler, so that there's a whole extra part of you as a seller that you don't even have to think about, seller's agent. So this will help you hopefully tune in more to that. And now that everyone's kind of scared a little bit, join us for Connectors at 12:30. Jason, will you please?
I just want to remind everybody that Olivia nor Melissa will ever ask you for gift cards. That is the most obvious attempt you get on a regular basis to be fishing. And when you get leads that want to connect by WhatsApp, that is also not interesting.
Not
Not a thing.
I don't even know what it
Not a
is.
thing.
And also, hope you guys stick around tonight and join the ALC for a happy hour in Los Grandes in Los Burnsville. Anything else, Jason?
Not a thing. Not Olivia, not Melissa. They don't want your gift cards.
All right, well, let's get online, get your sock pictures in, and let's have a great day. Thank you all for investing in you and allowing us to invest in you as well. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did it.
Probably did.
God bless.
Not that she doesn't. A good thing?
We've only been there once, but it was like they had birthdays, it kept going, so it's like, it felt like we're like in Cancun at Latin Club or something. I don't think there's any weird thing. Talking about going last year. Just be the four of us. Spain trip would be cool.
I was gonna ask
Pretty
you.
much in, or?
Right, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, the kids.
After my
Yeah, and that's not. Yeah, that sounds like.
Very genius. We are in the air of
And you know what I just found out? I don't know, Shane is not like. Are you kidding me?
I like leftover chicken.
Leftover chicken.
I love it. It's like home cooked chicken and then right around day 3 it has a different taste. Unless it's marinated or something. Like fried chicken, you need that for a while. Anything that's got a coating.
You're under.
Or Wednesday morning. Well, I'll be here Monday.
Okay.
All right.
He was sitting down, so I had to do my chair. I know. So I was not. Yeah. And you could think they sharp. It really don't matter. I was thinking more. I figured it was sharp. You can all day.